You're at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Nathaniel Hagen, who says, I would like a rant on the morality in Vinland Saga compared to Goblin Slayer, chiefly the evil we see perpetrated. The actions of the goblins versus the actions of the Vikings. Well, I haven't seen that much of either of these shows, in all honesty, but like the goblins in Goblin Slayer, as I understand it, are innately geared towards raping and murdering people. Like they are born with that instinct, and they will always grow up to be that way. I don't know if that's accurate because I haven't watched the whole show, but that's how I understand to be why Goblin Slayer is so merciless. Why he will murder even children goblins is because he knows that like it is just a fact of the world that these goblins are going to become this way. In Vinland Saga, it's just humans who are behaving this way out of, the circumstances surrounding their upbringing, or, the necessities of life in this place that is very harsh, where, people take from one another in order to, make their own lives better, essentially. And a lot of it is sort of an indictment of those tendencies of the way that the cycle of violence perpetuates itself, and essentially promoting pacifism ultimately. I mean, like Goblin Slayer, there is no moral quandary about what Goblin Slayer does, as far as I know. I'm fairly certain that like the show celebrates his tenacity in being absolute in his extermination of all goblins, because goblins are just inherently bad for people. Um, Whereas in the case of Vinland Saga, every single one of these so-called evil people could have been a good person had they been raised differently, or, been in different circumstances. So there's sort of that undercurrent of like, yes, like, the violence might become necessary to defend yourself from these people, but it's never an absolute necessity. There's always a chance that something else could have been done. So I'd say that's the main difference in the portrayal of evil. One as like an innate force that can't be helped, and the other as like, just a product of shit circumstances. Which is a more realistic take, ultimately. But, part of the fun of Goblin Slayer is that it's a fantasy.